coffee. Can you remember Mellow Birds?
Call it Mellow Birds.
No, it was Mellow Birds.
Yeah, I know.
Will make you smile.
It doesn't.
I can get the lid off, which this one actually I can't get the lid off. You know, I'm not so much of a coffee snob as you. I don't mind it. It's got its place, hasn't it?
Yes, the bin.
That one is now all dry. Just a couple of hours in front of her. They'll have like an espresso machine.
Oh, don't even start me on that.
He won't use it. He won't even go near it.
Because it's vile.
That's what we're going to call it, is the Valenvent. So what I'll be doing is from the 1st of
Sounds like
February.
something that you open in a caravan to keep the...
It does actually, doesn't it? Now ready to pre-soak. Oops. To pre-soak our yarn. Yeah, it does.
Oh, it's a bit warm tonight, love. Open the Valenvent.
That's really funny.
Welcome, everybody, to the Bakery Bears video show featuring my favourite colourways.
Yes.
Yes, Kay is back. Last year, we were so excited to publish 3 special episodes.
Did we do 3?
We did.
Wow.
We did 3 lovely special episodes of my favourite colourways, and we were so thrilled how much you guys loved it.
You did.
So, to start this year, we thought it would be wonderful to get cracking straight away on our first ever full series.
Yes.
Every episode,
Exciting.
You'll join Kay as she takes a dive into her dye books. I love them. They're like potions books.
Are they? They're a bit scrappy now.
And over the course of 8 episodes, she'll share with you 8 of her absolute favourite colourways. Oh, yes.
It's a corker today.
Such a popular colourway when you used to dye yarn.
Yes.
Because you did it loads, didn't you?
I did it quite a lot, this colourway. Yeah, I did.
And it looks just gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. It is. I love it. I'm looking at it right here.
But you don't get to see it until later. Neil, it's the first time we've seen you since the new year.
It is. So, Happy New Year, everyone.
Yes. Happy New Year.
Welcome to 2021.
Can you believe it? We're literally living in some sort of space age movie.
It absolutely feels like that right now.
Hey, if you want something to look forward to in 2021, I'm going to give it to you. We've already started off with, my favourite colourways.
Yeah.
8 episodes of that wonderful series coming your way. But also, Walking the Dales / Moors returns.
Is that what you're going to call it? No.
Well, no.
Depends which one you're on. Right.
Depends where we are. So, no. I'm not calling it Walking the Dales / Moors.
It's a bit much.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't like having to have slash in there.
Oh, no. Sounds all wrong.
No, it makes me think of the pop person, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah, slash guitarist.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Guns N' Roses. You're harking back now. I remember when Appetite for Destruction... Not really.
Let's not talk about how old I'll be this year.
Oh, stop it. I remember when Appetite for Destruction came out, I think I was in about the 4th year.
Right.
Which is year 10. Oh, it's all too confusing.
I don't know year numbers.
When you want to talk about things that have changed.
Tell me what year,
when we were young.
Like, Brian is in 4th year now.
Yes.
Year 10. I cannot get my head around the number thing.
No.
But, Dan, I'll say to him, what year is that? He'll go, 3rd year. I'm like, right. Know exactly what that is.
But look, getting back to the nitty-gritty, if you want something to look forward to, we've already spoken about my favourite colourways, but the Walking series is back.
Yeah.
10 episodes of the Walking series. It is the biggest ever series we've produced. 10 episodes.
Wow.
I know. 5 in the Dales, 5 in the Moors.
That's a lot, isn't it?
I know. So it's the biggest series we've ever produced. Also, for the first time in the history of the Bakery Bears, of Bakery Bear Productions, we've never started our sort of marquee series so early in the year.
No.
And the reason why we've been able to do that is because of, number one, the Walking series. We can just go wherever we want and walk wherever we want. We don't need to wait for things to open.
No.
But also with the creation of my favourite colourways, it's perfect really to sort of dive in and get on with it.
Yes.
And it feels lovely and warm and cosy knowing.
It's actually a great, if you've never dyed yarn before, and you can dye along with me. I'll tell you all of the dye colours. I will show you exactly what I do to produce that colourway. So you can absolutely get a few little supplies and dye along with me and produce the same yarn. It won't, we all dye differently, but you'll have a good interpretation of it.
But if you're anything like me, cooking shows. Let's just think about cooking shows. How many of us love watching cooking shows, but then never go away and actually cook what you watch?
I never do.
What it does is it gives you a greater appreciation for the things which we love. And at the end of the day...
It's kind of a bit like voyeurism, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like feeling like you're with them, but you don't have to do any of the work.
I think getting a greater understanding, too, of something which you're into is a great thing because it makes you appreciate... For me, historically, you would give me some yarn and I'd just get on with it.
Yeah.
And I think, that's quite pretty. But actually, when you understand how it's been created, it makes you appreciate everything about it.
Absolutely does. And there is nothing better as a knitter than knitting with yarn that you've dyed yourself.
Yes.
It's my favourite thing to do. It just adds a whole other... enjoyment level into the project. So it honestly is really worth it going. You don't need expensive supplies at all. The little jars of dye that I use are not expensive. A pot, a mask, we've all got that.
No, we've also not seen you since Christmas.
No.
And do you know what? There's something very special, I think, about thoughtful gifts.
Thoughtful gifts.
And I think that
Hope you all got some.
Yes. Thoughtful gifts. We all hope that you got thoughtful gifts.
Yeah.
Because, like I say, there's nothing better than a thoughtful gift. And we're moving into a world, and, as it becomes challenging to get out and go into the shops and look at things, it's difficult to... Because if you think about it, over the course of my sort of Christmas shopping life, how often are you out Christmas shopping and you see something and you go, oh my goodness, that's perfect.
Absolutely. If you go specifically looking, you can never find anything, can you?
I'm just out at Christmas shopping. I'm browsing around. Now that is perfect for so-and-so. When you're doing it online, it's different.
It is different.
Because all the things aren't there in front of you. No. You have to go looking specifically. So it does get harder, doesn't it? It's so much harder to buy thoughtful gifts for people. And I think that's why when you get a thoughtful gift, it means all the more. And I got 2 extremely thoughtful gifts this Christmas.
Did you?
One made me cry.
One made you cry?
From my amazing brother.
Oh, no, you're not going to talk about that.
I'm not going to go into any detail, but it's marvellous, isn't it, when someone buys you something which it means so much it makes you cry. Not expensive at all. As anyone will know who has scars on their body, one of the hardest things is, especially if the scar goes over somewhere where clothing normally sits, to be comfortable is really difficult. And years ago, my brother bought me some Star Wars pants. And they are the most comfortable things ever. And
they're just completely seam-free. They're like a boxer short in a sort of stretchy jersey. But they're completely seam-free.
Yeah.
And we've never been able to find anything like that.
No. And since the day that I first wore those, I've subsequently worn them every day. In case, of course, they had to wash them every day. And it must be 3 years.
Well, it must be.
And, they're faded.
Wow.
The seams just started to go just slightly, but it's probably sewable. Because it is just...
Right, okay. Problem is when you sew, you're then going to create a seam. Well, I'll give it a go.
Well, let's not do it until we really have to. But look, panic was beginning to rise in myself because they were on the way out. Well, what did he get me for Christmas? He bought me another pair.
Another pair. And he got the first pair from Disney World, didn't he?
Yes.
They found another pair. I'm not sure, I don't think they got them from there. Or they did go very early in the year last year, so maybe they did get them there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't really care how he got them.
No, in any case, he got some more.
And he gave them to me. And they probably cost him £10, if that.
Yeah.
But that is the present, which I will remember from Christmas. But the other really thoughtful gift I got this year was, look at this.
Aww.
Now, what I need to go with this is the perfect pattern.
Honey, I'm on with it.
I know you are.
I'm producing more patterns for you lately than I can shake a stick out.
That's why I wanted to reference it.
So it's DK weight, 2 skeins of DK weight, and I actually put on it what it was for. So it's my figgy pudding. Oops, upside down. My figgy pudding colourway here. And then a lovely pink to go with it. This colourway, I'm not sure if I will, to be honest, ever show this because it takes forever.
Yes.
It's the most labour-intensive colourway ever. It takes me about 3 hours to dye that because it's a layering technique, but it's a speckling layering technique,
right.
And it just takes forever to set each layer. So It's not that you're actually doing anything for 3 hours. It's just that's how long the process takes.
Goodness. Well, and there you go. Even greater appreciation when I knit this up. Now then, folks, it's a brand new year, so that means it's a brand new activity for our runners and walkers and our knitters.
Yes.
Last year, as regular watchers of the show will know, we were racing to the moon.
We were.
Now, the knitting element of this year-long activity is for our Bakery Bear patrons.
Yeah.
And what did they succeed in doing?
Right, well, our target was the distance from Earth to the moon, which is approximately 238,900 miles. We blasted it out of the water, let's use a space term, and the final figure was 294,400 miles.
Amazing.
So we actually finished on 123% of our target.
That's amazing.
And we had 2,944 entries. Is that not amazing?
We have done prizes all the way through the year for this, but there'll be some more prizes.
There's 2 more prizes that we will be announcing on our next pop, which is right at the end of this month.
So our patron-only show is coming at the end of this month. It's our famous live show, and within that show we'll be announcing the prize winners.
And I'm going to have 2 prizes. One of them is a skein of yarn, which I'll show you then.
Yeah.
And then the other will be any 2 of my patterns that you would like. And I've had quite a few new ones lately, so hopefully, there'll be some in there that the winner will want.
Now, the running and the walking element to the Race to the Moon activity was simple. We needed to cover 27,000 miles in our journey to collect all the parts that we needed to build a rocket to then launch. And the activity ended actually just before Christmas to give us time to fly to the moon.
To fly to the moon, because we were there.
You were there.
The knitters were there, having some week-long party.
Yeah. A week on the moon, not bad.
Because we'd sort of blown through our target.
Eat as much as you want. There's no gravity.
I know.
You're not going to feel it.
No.
So, did we hit our target? Well, the target was 27,000, and we finished on 30,341.22 miles.
That's amazing.
Yes, that includes your miles.
I was going to say, does that include mine?
It does
I did 630 something last year miles.
So, we both hit our targets.
Yeah.
The activity is over. You know what that means? We need a new activity.
We need a new one.
It's the start of the year, so it's time to announce our year-long running and walking and knitting activity.
Yes.
And what is it?
Our year-long challenge this year we have called the Amazonian Warrior Challenge.
Oh, I like it.
Because we are all, particularly this year, we need to be Amazonian warriors, don't we?
Yes.
Battling our way through the year, through life, and in this case, down the Amazon River.
And of course, Wonder Woman was Amazonian.
Wonder Woman was an Amazonian.
Will
Did you
always
know that?
be.
I didn't know.
What was her name again? Linda Carter.
Linda Carter. It's Linda Carter. Oh, amazing.
So
yes, Amazonian Warrior Challenge. We are knitting our way from the source of the Amazon, which is believed, I wrote it down, is believed to be the Mantero River. Mantero River in Peru.
Well, and I can second that emotion. What's that song? If I make this second. Oh, we can't remember. You'll all know. Tell us in the show, in the comments below. I also checked independently. And found the same thing.
Oh, that's good then.
Yes.
And then it ends in the Atlantic Ocean in a town called Belém, which is... why are you laughing? Did I say that wrong? Belém. It's got a little thing over with the second E, so I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Apparently it's... would it be Spanish in Brazil? I'm not sure. Or Portuguese or
Portuguese,
something?
I think.
For Bethlehem.
Wow.
And that's in Brazil.
Amazing.
So that's where it comes out and goes into the Atlantic. And it is, now there's some debate on the length of the Amazon, but I've gone for what people seem to think the longest is to give us like, you know, the most challenge. And it's 7,025 kilometres. I'm working in kilometres this time because it's easier with maths to work in kilometres and metres, because it's an easier division than sort of miles and... what would it be? Feet, yards? I don't know. But that's an easier sort of calculation. So 7,025 kilometres is our challenge. There is a thread in our Ravelry group that's open now, the same as last year. It's a thread for chatter and for finished objects. It's all explained in the chatter thread. The rules are all there. Not many rules really. And then there's a full list of how many metres, in this case, you get per item that you've knit, depending on what the item is. And people have already, I opened it yesterday, people found it.
And they're off.
And they're off. And there's finished items in there already. So come and join in. It's great fun. You know, and it's just such a lovely thing. You all seem to love participating in it, which is great. And I think this is just such a fun thing, you know, to think of us all as Amazonian warriors is brilliant.
And this is, remember, the knitting element is for the Bakery Bear
knitting
patrons.
and crochet, I will say. It does say in the chatter thread, but obviously crochet is extremely welcome.
Good. What about the runners and the walkers? Well, in previous years, we've been having really big groups, and it's been very much a sort of large group, you know, all together, you know, running a particular amount or walking a particular amount of miles. When we first started doing these activities, the groups were slightly smaller and it was more about a race. So I thought it would be fun to return to that.
Right.
So this is going to be a race. There's going to be 6 teams.
Oh.
And you will be put in, if you want to come and join in, of course, you'll be put in a team.
Oh, that's fun to be in a team. I might have to be part of a team.
So we're each going to be in a team, and the team will have in it probably 10, 20, maximum of 30 people, and we will be racing each other.
Brilliant.
In exactly the same place that Kay said, along the Amazon. So we'll be starting at one end and we'll be racing along. So I'll be able to plot it. So I'll be able to show, when we do updates, which team is where along the
Are we going to give them names?
The Amazon.
What we're going to do?
Well, yeah, I think we should. We're doing it in miles, and it's 4,365 miles.
Right.
And what you need to do if you want to be part of this challenge is you need to email the address that's listed below now and also listed in the show notes below. You need to email and you need to tell me, if you're a runner or a walker, how far you ran or walked in 2020, and you also need to tell me your Runkeeper email address. Because you need a Runkeeper account. It's free.
It's free.
Yes. So just like every other activity we've ever done, you need a Runkeeper account. And again, the details for that is listed in the show notes below. So set up a Runkeeper account. To do that, you'll need to give an email address to Runkeeper. And then once you've done that, you can email me and you can say, I want to come and join the group. Last year, I ran or walked this amount of miles, and this is my address that's registered with Runkeeper. I can then invite you into the specific group, and then you don't need to think about anything then all the way through the year, because Runkeeper will tally up all of your miles that you do every month, and that will then enable me to be able to plot on a little map where we are along our journey along the Amazon.
I love Runkeeper. It's the thing that's really motivated me and keeps motivating me to walk.
That's good.
Yeah.
So if you want to be part of this, if you're a runner and a walker, you don't need to be a Bakery Bear patron. If you are a runner or a walker to do the exercise activity,
anybody can join.
Anybody can join that. Email me, let me know your details, and we'll get you into one of the teams, and off we will go.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Fun.
Kay Jones, what's on your needles?
How exciting. I've missed you saying that.
Oh.
So,
it's been too long.
It's been too long.
But fear not.
It feels good to be back,
yes.
everyone. I've discovered over Christmas that I'm just not good without my normal routine. I just completely...
lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy to be back. So my first item I've got in a beautiful new bag that Dan got me for Christmas. I kind of chose it and bought it. But, you know, I'd forgotten that I'd done that. It's brilliant. And then I get a fantastic thing that I really want. So it's a lovely bag from Emma at Eldenwood Crafts. And I actually, although this is an autumn themed bag, I think it looks kind of wintry too. I just love it. I love Emma's bags. They're just perfect. And this one's got a cute little handle. In my lovely bag, I've started a second Bits and Bobs cowl.
And you've been loving it.
Because, I'll get my first one and show you actually. I've been wearing my Bits and Bobs cowl literally every day for the past month, 2 months, and I actually wear it in the house, but it's brilliant because when I get up early in the morning, you know, the heating hasn't come on yet and it's been really cold. I mean, everybody in this country will know how cold it's been these past sort of week or so. It's just quite chilly. So I put on my Bits and Bobs cowl and I get snuggled under a blanket and I do a bit of knitting, and it's just become this like comfort thing for me. So this was my first cowl. This is the one that I knit for the actual pattern. The Bits and Bobs cowl is one of my own designs. It's based on the Bits and Bobs blanket, but this is a cowl that's knit in the round. So it's obviously different. It's slightly different to how you knit this to the Bits and Bobs blanket. But if you've knit the blanket, then I can guarantee you will love this. I love knitting this so much, and I'd forgotten how much I love knitting it until I started another. So this is the first one. And I just it uses fingering weight held double, and it's the most perfect project because it uses virtually all of 100-gram skein of yarn. So you need one full skein for like the background colour, and then just bits and bobs of yarn, you know, to hold double, which is what I did with this one. So you've got lots of different yarns in this one. And then I held it double with a skein of Cascade Heritage in, I think, snow, probably, because I use that such a lot. And it's so soft and it's so snuggly, and I just love it. And I'll pop it on for you so you can just see what it looks like. This could probably could probably do with a wash because I've just worn it so much. But it's just this huge, you know, and even when it's really cold, you can actually pull it up over your head as well, so it's more like a snood. But it's just lovely, and it's just snuggly, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So I wanted to knit another one because I thought it would just be nice to have another, maybe one that I wear in the house and one that I wear outside kind of thing. And I just wanted to knit another. I wanted to have another. So what I did for this one, because I knew that it used a full 100-gram skein for the background colour, and then effectively another 100 grams of whatever yarn you want, you know, to hold double. I remembered that I'd got a set of minis, 5 minis, so it's perfect for those mini skein sets that we've all got. And this was I bought this fairly recently. I think I showed it to you actually when I bought it, but I got it from Pixie Yarn, and it was her Hey Little Apple Blossom set. So it's this one. So you get 5 20-gram minis. And it was in a gradient. I thought, well, that'll be really fun to knit a gradient of colour. I'm on the second little mini at the moment, so I'll show you the cowl in a second, but this is how it carries on gradiating. So it's from lighter, I'm doing the lighter ones up on this end first, through to this gorgeous, deep, lovely red. So that's the 3 I've got left. And I'm on the second one now. And this is how far I am. I love it. And I love how this pattern, because of the way you knit it, I think it's really good for the sort of blending element. It produces a really soft blend, which is just lovely, I think. So this is the one that I'm working with now. I think I've maybe got about 12 grams of that left. And I'm holding it double this time with a skein of undyed yarn on the base that I've mentioned this base before actually. It's an 85% super fine superwash merino. I think it's 10% nylon and 5% stellina. I can't remember the exact makeup, but it's basically a sparkly yarn, and it's just gorgeous. The sparkles never transfer, unfortunately. But it's just a lovely, lovely yarn. I thought it would be nice to have those sparkles running through the whole thing. So this is where I'm up to. And it's just an absolute joy to knit. Oh, I love it so much. And I've just been working on this half an hour every night or something. And it doesn't require, I wouldn't say, if you've knit the blanket, you'll know. It's not so much concentration, but you do have to pay a bit of attention to it. But for me, I need that. I think if something is just plain, round and round and round and round, I'm just completely bored. I cannot do, round and round stocking stitch. Knitting a jumper, for example, where it's round and round stocking stitch, it's just not my thing. But this, you do just have to pay a bit of attention, and that just triggers my brain into a bit of action, and that I think is really good for your brain. It's good for your brain to have that bit of something going on. Certainly it is for mine. So I'm just really loving it, and I can't wait to have another cowl. So
a clean one.
Well, it's not dirty, the other one.
No.
It's just that you wear it.
It's hardly dirty.
It's not dirty,
not
but
at all.
I've had it on every morning for months, and it could just do with the freshen up. So, loving my Bits and Bobs cowl. And if you've got a set of these not these specific minis, but any sets of 5 minis, we've all got them, haven't we? And quite often they'll just sit there in my stash, and I'll think, I don't know what to do with those, and I end up sort of splitting them and putting them in scrappy projects, which is fine. That's a lovely thing to do. But to keep them all together in this cowl will be lovely, and I can't wait to see the gradient of colour moving up. I think it's going to be gorgeous. And the advantage of having sort of a light end and a dark end is it's like you've got 2 cowls, because you can switch it round and wear it, the darker colour to your face one day or the lighter colour, and I think that's lovely.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, so I'm going to carry on working on that. I'm really, really loving it, and I'm so pleased I cast it on, because quite often I don't re-knit my own designs, because, from when you've got a creative brain, you'll know that you just want to sort of move on to the next thing. What can I do next? What can I do next? But I think sometimes it's really good to revisit those favourite things that you loved at the time, and you might just have forgotten that you loved.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure we've all got patterns like that.
Yeah.
Dan Jones?
Yes.
What's on your needles?
Well, first of all, thank you to all the viewers of my self-contained knitter show, who recommended lots and lots of different colour work projects, which I might like to try knitting next, because I finished, and you're going to see it in what's off your needles, the Christmas tide. No. I finished the Christmas tide cowl. The Scandinavian Christmas cowl. It's all too confusing. I don't know how it came about. I think you offered. I don't think I just said, will you design me something?
No, I offered.
Cool. I'm glad you remember it that way.
In my wisdom.
So Kay offered to design me something, because there were sort of certain specific points that I wanted to make sure was in the project. So we were able to sit down, and Kay was like, oh, well, what about this, what about this, what about this? And we've come up with something which absolutely just fits all the things that I love about colour work. The other thing that I was really, really keen to do was to do a fingering weight colour work project, because I've not done a lot of those. I think the last one I did was the Woods hat thingy.
Oh, yes.
Alaska hat?
Alaska hat.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she's designed me something in fingering weight, and here it is. Look at this. Oh my goodness. I absolutely love it.
Oh,
I love it. And now you can inspect.
Well, it's taken you some time to get to the colour work, obviously, because what I wanted with this... Yeah, and it's nice. Gosh, that colour blends in completely there.
Yeah, I know. That's the other thing that's really cool about this.
We're using a solid and a variegated.
Here it is.
We'll tell you
here they are.
Yeah, we'll tell you what the yarns are in a second. I think it looks great, actually.
And was it the Alaska hat which did the same thing? I think we did. I think it was close.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you've done this before with the cowl that the green and pink one that I'm wearing all the time.
The one that I gave you for Christmas.
It looks great. A solid and a variegated. It just looks so fun with colour work. But what I wanted, because we've had a couple of times with cowls that you've knit where all it tells you to do, for example, when you cast on is there's just a couple of rows of garter. And I find that garter can flip quite easily.
Yeah.
You need to knit a big chunk of garter for it not to flip, is what I find. So what I did with this one is I used the rib pattern that's in my Philosopher's Cowl design, because I knew that lays really flat. So I used that, and we've done a nice amount of it, and I think that looks great. And then I wanted to separate off the colourwork. I wanted it to be quite clear from the rib, so we've done a few rounds of just plain, and then is into the colourwork, which is like a sort of brick pattern, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really cool, because what you've got is, and I love it on the patterns where this type of thing has been there, you've got like tracks running down either side of the contrast, and then in the middle, as Kay said, it's like bricks. It's rows of 4 of the main colour, and then 2 of the contrast, and I just love that. I think it looks so cool. And doing it in fingering weight, is everything okay?
Yeah, but then it changes, doesn't it?
Cool.
It alternates. Is that right?
Well, what's happening now is I'm then into the pattern.
Oh, right, because I did 2 different patterns, didn't I? Oh, no, yeah, that's right. I can't remember what I did.
That's all right.
Is basically the answer.
I'm now into the sort of main body of the first chart.
Yeah, this just sort of is the edge of it, and then you're going into a design here. I've gone through 2 charts so far, and then I need to do the rest when it gets a bit further on. I just wanted to do enough so that you could get started on it.
And I most certainly have got started.
And the yarn, it feels lovely, the yarn. It's perfect, this one.
So the contrast colour...
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. The contrast colour is Fondant Fibre. Woohoo!
Deb!
It's the Happy Christmas Harry colourway.
She doesn't die at the moment, but we love Deb.
Which is just stunning. It's so great.
It's a lovely colourway.
Oh my goodness.
I've had this a few years, and it's just so nice to have a project now to put it into where you're going to say, oh yeah, that's that Fondant Fibre yarn. It's lovely.
And the main colour is
fantastic. Yeah, it's great.
A couple of things with this, haven't I? 2 pairs of socks with this.
Yeah, and I've knit some socks with this too, and it's working out lovely for colour work.
It feels thinner than what I've used for the socks, but it isn't.
No.
I don't know why it feels thinner.
It's the Regia Merino Yak 4-ply.
How strange.
And the colour, this one, it's like a sort of peach-toned, fawny sort of colour. It's number 07505.
The 2 yarns work absolutely perfectly together. They feel very similar. I mean, it's like they're the same thing, to be honest.
They are very similar. Because the Fondant Fibre one, it's a slightly plumper yarn. Yeah, it's an 8515. Oh, gosh. Do you know what? I think it's that same base that I've just been talking about. It's Superwash Extra Fine Merino and Nylon, 400 metres. And it's a nice plump one, so it goes well with the Merino Yak, which is also nice and plump.
Doesn't have a name yet. We'll decide on a name once we've knit through it.
No name.
No. It's the no-named Colourwork Cowl. Cool. What else is on your needles?
Well, I have been every day since I mentioned this last. I've been doing my 1 row a day project. I feel like a genius. I certainly haven't invented this, but it's like, oh, this is marvellous, because it absolutely works and it's grown so much. That's the colour I'm on now. So it's my granny stripe blanket, my crochet granny stripe blanket, which is a design by Lucy of Attic24. It's a free design on her blog. There is a page for it on Ravelry that links you to her blog. And it's a fantastic design. I've knit it. No, I haven't. I've crocheted this several times now, and I think all of us who crochet have probably used this pattern. What I did when I last showed you this and I came up with this miraculous idea is I put a little progress keeper where I was so that I could show you how much I've done. So if you look, it's here, it's black. I don't know if you'll be able to see it.
Of course they can.
Can you see it?
Yes.
So it's way down here. Here it is. So I've done all of this.
Wow. That's loads.
Since I last showed it. And, it's literally one row every morning. It's the thing that I pick up first thing. It's usually about 5:15 in the morning. And I do that row and then I put it down. And it just feels, even though it's only one row and it might take me, I'm usually quite distracted because I'm usually watching a podcast, or Michael Portillo has been my favourite thing just lately, then it might take me, I don't rush through it, 20 minutes, half an hour, because I'll stop and start and have a drink of tea like you do. But it feels like I've achieved something every day, even if you have like a rubbish day when everything goes wrong and you don't feel like you've got anything done. I know that I've done that one row, and I know that this is growing a tiny bit every day. And I've worked out, because I know how many rounds, I know how many rows I need to do, because I've made this exact blanket in this size before. I chained 200, if you need to know, and it makes a great sort of lap size. So I know how many rows because I've counted, and I've worked out that I should finish this around the 20th of February, something like that. But then I'll do a border, so it might take me till the end of February to finish it. But when you kind of know you've got that end date, and it's actually not that far away, is it? Now it's next month. So I know by the end of February I'll have a beautiful finished blanket. Then it's just a really lovely sort of feeling, and it's just been a joy. I'm using 3mm clover, and I love using 3mm with fingering weight for this project, for this crochet project. It just produces the perfect fabric for me. So this is the whole thing now. Look, oh.
Wow.
So it
smells
big.
Great.
Oh, I've got a lavender sachet in there, so
I can smell yarn.
Oh, it does smell like yarn.
Yeah.
So this, for this project as well, the colours look really good today actually in this. I'm using all shades of pink and peach and sort of anything in between. Some of the shades are more kind of golden, and like this one I'm putting in now, it's a hedgerow yarns. Although it's got a lot of colour in it, you can see that top row, there's a lot of sort of blue. And I'm not keen on the way it's sort of splodging like that, but I'm, trying not to let it bother me. And it's got a peach background to it with lots of sort of different colour going on. And that's fine, as long as it's got a basis of pink or peach. I don't mind if it's got other colours going on, because I think that's quite nice. That adds a bit of interest. I think it's not just sort of all plain colours. So hopefully the next time I show you this, it might be completely finished, you never know. We'll see how it goes. But I would really, really recommend that if you've got a project like this on the go, because what I'm going to do when I finish this, because I've been thinking I love doing this so much, what am I going to do when I've finished it?
You sound like me.
I know. I really want to have that sort of similar project. But I have got my other crocheted project, which is the linen stitch triangle shawl, the one that I'm making enormous, and I haven't worked on that for a while. So I think what I'm going to do when I finish this is I'm just going to substitute it for that, and those rows are much longer. So I think what I will do with that is do half a row, because crochet to that center point, and then the next day do the next one and do it that way. And then I'll still have that project that I'll be working on every day, in that case it'll be half a row a day, but it's the same sort of principle. So what I'll do now is tomorrow morning I'm going to move that stitch marker up so that I then can track again how much I've done since I last showed you.
Cool. It's like Runkeeper.
It is a bit, yeah, and it's just such a nice... I just really love it, and like I say, I think if you don't have much crafting time as well, and I think it's just a great way of just getting that little bit of crafting in, and to do it first thing in the morning as well for me is brilliant, because I'm like, I've done that now, I've achieved something for the day, and the day's not even started. So it's really good for me. Yeah.
That's cool.
Love it. Look how cute it looks, all folded up.
Amazing.
Lovely.
So I finished a pair of socks.
Oh,
am I showing them later?
Yes.
Oh, cool. The Village Fate socks off the needles.
Yes.
Oh, yes. And I think I managed to knit them the right lengths.
I think you did.
Yes, both.
I didn't notice a difference this time.
When I say the right lengths, I mean both the same lengths is what I mean. And so I needed something else to knit, and I sort of was drawn big style towards Kay's second winter collection sock,
Yeah.
which is flurry. And so when I finished them, I said, I'd really like to knit the flurry. Can I have some yarn? And you trundled off into your collection and you found me this. It's just gorgeous.
It's the colour, I dyed this, and it's the colour that I used for my Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo design. So it's a Cinderella themed colour, and I had an extra skein, so
conveniently.
I thought you can have that.
And it's, I mean, talk about sparkly.
It's a sparkle.
As ever, they never come across brilliantly well on camera, but you know, as you turn it, it's like, oh my goodness. It makes me think of something from Star Wars.
Well, it's like
a planet.
Yeah, it's a great colour to be knitting at the minute with all the ice we've got currently around as well. So
now, I was drawn to the flurry pattern, and I had no idea what it was going to be like
to knit.
Well, I mean, it's brilliant. And I'll tell you why it's brilliant. Because you have to concentrate so hard to knit the repeat.
You do.
Yes. That by the time I finish the repeat, I've not stopped to think, oh, I wonder how far through I've knit. It like knits itself because you're like totally in it. It's like a book that is like really cool, and you know, you're reading this chapter and it's like you don't even think about putting the book down, you just keep reading. Do you know what I mean? It's like, or I really, the binge watching a TV series, you know, you just don't want to stop. Amazing. The only thing is I need a lie down after a repeat. Here it is. It's so great. Do you know what it reminds me of when I first did double knitting?
Yeah,
it's a similar engagement, and I think it's because there doesn't feel like there's any off rounds. There
are rest. I don't know if there's completely rest rounds. I can't remember. Is there not?
No, and that's cool.
There's rounds which are much more straightforward than the sort of lace working rounds.
I think this sock's going to knit itself, and you know, it's because of the engagement that it's getting from me that I think that, and that to me is just the perfect pattern. You know, I couldn't want for any more. And also as well, the speckly bit. Yeah,
it's got a design that runs down the front, and then around sort of like the rest of the sock, it's got like just a little pearl stitch, snowflakey sort of look.
That snowflakey thing, it's like the perfect foil for your brain, you know, so you've got through. And initially, I couldn't quite work out. It's so clever what you've done.
Do you want to check it?
Oh, you can. It's so clever because you sort of think, don't you? Okay, you don't anticipate that the pattern on needle 2 if you're knitting on magic loop, or needles 3 and 4 if you're knitting on DPNs, is going to flow round onto needles 1 and 2, and it does. That blows my mind.
Right. Yeah.
It's so silly that it does. I don't know why it does, but like every so often, I think it's the first round. Yeah, it's round 1 of the repeat on needle 1. It's got a pearl stitch on it, and you're like, what's that about?
Right.
It just seems like completely nuts. I'm starting with a pearl. That's weird. Well, of course you are. It's because you're putting in... Yeah, I know. You can see I'm quite into this design.
You're also facing a new challenge with this because you've gone down a needle size.
I have.
So you use
2.5 mils.
2.5 millimetre.
I knew.
It's definitely better.
Cool.
The gauge looks really good.
Yeah, it's a big change.
And you're using a Christmas present.
Yes, it sounds funny. There's some cubics.
Yeah, Knit Pro cubics.
Kate told me I need to do a review on them.
You do?
Yeah, I'm not very confident.
You really love them, don't you?
But I'm not very confident in my review technique. And anyone who's seen my review of the Letlopi will know that.
He was cute.
With the 2 swords on the knitting needles. Oh dear. So it's the flurry. It's gorgeous. And, you know, really engaging pattern and, you know, great yarn. And, you know, to imagine that there's going to be loads of those down the front of the sock and be like, oh my goodness. One of those patterns.
I thought it was really fun to knit.
Yeah.
And
one of those patterns that you look at it and you think, I can't believe I've done that. Did those stitches that I just did do that? Knitting's amazing.
It is amazing.
We were going through books the other day and, you know, looking at different stitch patterns, and my mind was blown. The basket weave thing. That.
Oh, yeah, that one. There was a stitch.
I was looking at the instructions for it, I'm like,
I think it's lots of slip stitches, I think. Or is it lots of twisted stitches? It looked fantastic. It looks like a proper basket weave. But it's a tricky stitch to incorporate into designs because it's so... The fabric it produces is quite constricted. So to put it into something like a sock is very tricky.
Yeah. To think that so many wonderful things are possible just with a bit of yarn and some sticks.
Lovely.
Lovely. What else is on your needles?
My last thing today is another pair of socks. We say Dan's just doing one and I'm just making a pair of socks. I'm going to get a blocker actually because I finished one. So this is a pair of socks that I started a little while ago, but I've actually finished one of them now, and it just seemed appropriate to be knitting this at the start of a new year. The yarn is very bright and sunny and I just needed a bit of lovely bright sunshiny yarn. So I finished one, and this is the finished sock. It's lovely. I blocked it actually so that...
Wow.
Yeah, because I wanted to open up that lace a little bit. Isn't the yarn lovely? It's just, I'm really into tonal yarns at the moment. You know, I love speckled yarns and I love variegated yarns, but there's something about a tonal yarn just to... You can see it, can't you? You can see the yarn, you can see the design. It's just lovely. And both of these yarns are from Sherry Iris. The yellow is called Mellow Yellow. It's the 75-25 sort of standard sock base.
What do they call it? They call it Mellow Yellow.
Sorry, I missed that one, but I know what song you mean, yeah. But it's Mellow Yellow from lovely Sherry Iris.
They call it Mellow Yellow.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know who sang that.
I don't know, it's old, isn't it?
Well, it must be.
70s probably.
Yeah.
Makes me think of Mellow Birds, the coffee. Can you remember Mellow Birds?
They call it Mellow Birds.
No, it was Mellow Birds.
Yeah, I know.
Will make you smile.
It doesn't.
No, do they still make Mellow Birds?
I hope not. It's the weakest coffee.
It is. Yeah, it is, and it's like an instant coffee, which
Disgusting.
You don't do at all.
Well, I don't want to drink brown water.
Well, I don't drink coffee anymore, but I would have drunk.
Lovely.
I would have drunk instant coffee. I'm not not so much of a coffee snob as you. I don't mind it. It's got its place, hasn't it?
Yes, the bin.
Isn't it awful? He's such a snob with his coffee.
It's not true.
It is true. It absolutely is true, right? Do you know, we go on holiday, right? And usually when you go on holiday, if it's a really nice place, they'll have like a Nespresso machine.
Oh, don't even start me on that.
He won't use it. He won't even go near it.
Because he's vile.
Listen to him.
Just my opinion.
It's just his opinion, and personally, I don't think it would be vile.
It is.
Like I said, I've never had it because I haven't drunk coffee for years, but...
It doesn't taste of anything.
That can't be true, can it? Because loads of people use Nespresso or equivalent sort of machines.
You get sucked in by the advertising.
Yeah, and it's very convenient.
All I would say to anyone is just come and spend a day with me, and I will show you what real coffee tastes like.
I do kind of think it's a lot of faff to make a coffee, isn't it? And also, I don't like the kind of little pods that you have to use. I know a lot of them are recyclable these days, but I just think it's so easy just to do a cafetiere. You know, and that's just done, isn't it?
End of story. When we go on holiday, that is exactly what I do.
Yeah, we always take the cafetiere.
And sometimes that is exactly what I like. And
anyway,
on a morning with a cooked breakfast.
When do we ever have a cooked breakfast?
Once or twice a year.
I was going to say never.
Yeah, but the most recent time that we did, I made myself a cafetiere.
We had a cooked breakfast lunch, didn't we?
Yes.
Over Christmas, we had like a cooked breakfast, but for lunch, which was nice. Makes a nice change.
Bit of French bread. If only I could.
If only you could eat it. But I've been making you spelt bread.
And I've been right as ninepence.
I've been making him loaves with, it's Dove's Farm white spelt flour, and it's not fully white actually. It comes out like a sort of grubby white looking loaf. It's not the most appealing colour, but
it's great.
You
great.
Love it.
Oh,
yeah. And what did I do? I left one in the oven for way too long. I forgot about it.
I don't say anything. I'm like looking.
Dan was downstairs in the kitchen eating his lunch, right? And me and Brian were upstairs watching an Angel episode.
So I shouted out. I said, "What about this loaf?"
And I was like, and it had been in the oven like 25 minutes longer than it
It's fine.
should have been. I said it's just going to be wrecked.
It wasn't.
It just had a really thick crust.
And I said,
it wasn't burnt or anything
quite
like that.
rightly, it reminded me of a French
Like
loaf.
a French loaf, because the crust was quite thick, but you ate the whole
Outstanding.
thing.
It's just such a wonderful feeling to be able to have. This is the first
And you had a sandwich,
year.
didn't you, on Boxing Day?
There is
like
nothing.
a chicken sandwich he had, because we had chicken. We'll talk about that actually in Endy Bits. But
There's nothing better on Christmas Day evening and Boxing Day than a sandwich with your leftovers.
Yeah.
And I've not been able to do that
for a few years.
for about 4 years,
Yeah.
maybe even 5. So to suddenly be able to do that again, it was a
It
wonderful
was really
novelty.
good, wasn't it? Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's okay. You're welcome.
These are so lovely.
Yes, so it's the mellow yellow, and then this is just a mini of Sherry's that was from one of her wildflowers sets at some point.
Right.
Because I bought loads of them. I just wanted something that went with the yellow, and I thought pink and yellow looks so lovely together, doesn't it? So I've finished one, and then I've literally, it's not even worth showing. Look, I've done 2 rows of the second one, but it's on the needles, and that's half the battle, isn't it? And it's just gorgeous yarn. I love it. It's such a happy yellow. Because yellow's a funny thing, isn't it? There are some yellows that I love, and this, to me, this is like a more golden yellow. It's got those more golden tones in it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder what dye colour she's used. Sherry, tell me. But some yellows I'm not struck on. The more kind of acidy yellows.
Yeah.
I don't really like those.
Harsh.
They're a bit harsh.
Yeah.
But golden yellows I absolutely love. And this is one that I love. So I've popped a little lace stitch in there. And this is one of the stitch patterns that I used in an upcoming design, actually. It's my sampler socks.
Ooh.
They will be coming out on Valentine's Day. They have been test knitted now. Thank you so much, Aurora. She did a stellar job, as she always does. So they're ready to be released, and I'll show you those next time, actually, because it'll be a bit closer to the release date. But they'll be coming out on Valentine's Day, and this is one of the stitch patterns that I used in it, and I loved it so much I wanted to knit an entire sock in it. So I've done that.
And of course,
I've got the second one on the go.
We're very excited about the sampler sockies because Bakery Bear patrons will be trying to channel a little bit of that
Advent
excitement with our Valentine's Advent.
Yes, a we thought of a name
Valenvent.
for Valenvent. That's what we're going to call it, is the Valenvent. So what I'll be doing is from the 1st of
Sounds like something
February.
that you open in a caravan to keep the...
It does, actually, doesn't it? Yeah, it does.
Oh, it's a bit warm tonight, love. Open the Valenvent.
That's really funny. Have we just invented a word? Somebody's going to come along now and steal that word.
Don't do it. You heard it here first.
Use it for their product.
Hashtag Valenvent.
Yes, don't let them steal it. I came up with it.
This is a new thing. Valenvent. I'm really into this. This is exciting.
Somebody's going to do that now.
We're doing it.
We're doing it. It's the Valenvent.
It is.
Yes. So we'll be starting on the 1st of February, and it'll run through till the 12th of February. So there'll be 12 days. So it's like half an Advent, isn't it? And I'll be releasing a section of the pattern each day in our patron Facebook group as a little sort of PDF. That's right, isn't it? So each day there'll be a little PDF that you can download and you can knit along. Each sock is different. They're related but different. It's like a relationship, isn't it? A good relationship. Sometimes you like.
Where this is going.
I know. This is turning into a little sort of counselling session, isn't it?
It's a new show.
But yeah, it's true though, isn't it? A good relationship, you have some things that you both love, but then you always have differences, don't you? But
do we? Oh, sorry. I'm thinking of this too personally.
But you come together, don't you, as a pair? So this is what these socks are. They're a pair, and you can see that they belong together, but they're different.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Yes.
We belong together, but we're different.
I like
because
that.
everybody's different, aren't they?
Yes.
So yes, patrons will be able to knit this sock free of charge, effectively.
Wonderful.
If they want to do that.
And a lovely community activity.
Yes. And then on the 14th, it will be released as a paid-for pattern for everybody to purchase.
Cool.
So it's a one-size-only sock because, there's 10 different stitch patterns in it. I'm talking about a sock I'm not even holding up now. I'll talk about it next time.
Yes. Oh dear. But this is a stitch pattern from the socks.
This is one of the stitch patterns from the sock.
It looks gorgeous.
I'm going to stop holding this sock and waving it around now because you'll be fed up of seeing it. Ali won't. She loves yellow. Did you enjoy all that yellowness, Ali? Ali is... I haven't seen her.
Little Drops of Wonderful.
I've never met her.
No.
Ali, I'd love to meet you someday. In some alternate universe, we will meet.
Yes.
Yes, Little Drops of Wonderful, Ali. And I sent her, as you know, well, you might not know, I sent her...
Is that her name?
Little Drops of Wonderful Ali. Did you not know that?
No.
That is her name. Yeah. So I sent her a yarn advent calendar and we've been texting and it's just been lovely. So we've had a lovely time through December just chatting. So, yes, yellow socks. Second one cast on. Who knows when I'll get it finished, but, doesn't matter, does it?
So, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time that we got 2021 off in grand style. So, whether you are a budding yarn dyer, you fancy giving it a go, this year it's your new thing. You're going to watch Kay's wonderful series of my favourite colourways and you're going to give it a try. Or maybe you're like me and you just love watching and finding out the alchemy that's involved in creating that perfect colourway. Whichever that you are, sit back, relax, because it's time to enjoy the very first in Kay's brand new series of my favourite colourways.
Over the last 6 years, I have created more colourways than I can remember. Hidden away in my library is the little book that contains nearly all my secrets. But which do I like best? Well, I thought it would be fun to find out, so in this show, that's what we're going to be doing. I'll be taking you from undyed skein to finished colourway. Because it's time for us to discover welcome everyone to a brand new year and a brand new series. So for the first time ever, we're bringing you a full series of my favourite colourways. As you know, we've done the odd sort of few through last year and you all seem to love them. I enjoyed doing them. I got some nice yarn out of it and we used some yarn for some prizes, which is lovely. So I'm here again to start off a new series. So we're going to be doing a whole host of lovely colourways. And to start off, I thought I would begin with a colourway that's been requested actually by quite a few of you. And it's a colour that kind of, it sort of was I don't know if a happy accident is the right word for it, but quite often with colourways I just enjoy playing around, and on this particular day I remember I just got a group of colours together and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to give it a go, because that's the best way really to start. You just grab some colours that you think will look nice together. Doesn't really matter if you don't have a plan. Just give it a go. If it doesn't work out, you can put it into scrappy projects and it'll be absolutely lovely. I've never had a colourway, I've honestly never had a colourway that I haven't been able to use, if I've, in some shape or form. If I've thought it's just not right for putting in the shop, for selling, when I was selling my yarn, then I would just keep it and I would put, like I say, I would put it into scrappy projects, or I'd use it for heels and toes, or anything at all like that. I've never ever wasted any of the yarn that I've dyed. So even if it doesn't turn out how you kind of planned it in your head, don't worry about it. You will have enjoyed the process, you will have come up with something new, and I'm sure you'll be able to use it in, something, even if it's not what you planned. So what colour am I going to be dyeing today? So I've gone to one of my lovely dye books. This is a really old one, and when I was looking for this colour, I couldn't find it in my books, and I thought, I know it's in there because I dyed it several times. It wasn't like it was just a one-off colourway, because quite often if I did sort of like a colourway and it wasn't what I was aiming for, but it was lovely, I would just put it in the shop as a one of a kind, and I wouldn't make a note in my book it would just have the sort of, you know, the list of dye colours. But I knew that I'd dyed this one several times because I checked in my Etsy sales. So I found it. I actually found it in this lovely dye book that I used, which was one of the Alex Clark ones. I love these books, really sweet. So the colour is Water Sprite. And I don't know if any of you know the particular colourway, but it's a gorgeous, gorgeous colourway, and it uses a technique that's one of my favourites, which is a layering technique. So we put one colour on top of another on top of another, and in between the colours going on we rearrange the skeins so that we're not getting any sort of regularity, if you like, to it. We're going to constantly move the skeins, we're going to constantly add new colours, and then at the end we're going to add in a colour that's just going to change everything. So Water Sprite it is today, and now let's move over and I'm going to show you everything that you're going to need if you want to dye along with me. Okay, so what are we going to need to dye up our lovely Water Sprite colourway? So of course the first thing we're going to need is some yarn. Now what I've got today, I've already put 2 of them on the little holders, but I decided to dye a DK weight skein and a fingering weight skein, and I'm also throwing in a mini skein as a little chef's treat, if you like, for me. I've mentioned before that I often do this if I'm dyeing up a yarn and I want a little bit of it for scrappy projects or, you know, just a little treat. I'll throw in a mini skein. So I've got a mini skein of fingering weight, so I've got 20 gram. I've got 100 grams of fingering weight here, which is, this is an 85-15. It's a gorgeous base. It's 85% super fine, superwash merino, 15% nylon. And then I've also got a DK weight, so I haven't put that one on my little, what are these, cable ties, just so I can show you what I do. So I've got the skein here, and I sort of grab it by one of the ties, just to make sure that it's all orientated correctly. And one thing I also do, I'm not sure if I've ever mentioned this before, but sometimes when I purchase yarn from dyers and I unskein it, you can find that it's kind of sort of twisted like this a little bit. I don't know quite how to describe it, but it's kind of like it's not been, I call it, you know, straightening the skein out, but basically what I make sure is that it's sort of flat. Can you see? You've got your ties here, and I just make sure it's all sort of evened out and that your skein is lying flat like this and not bunched up. You can sometimes find that it'll sort of fold over like this where the ties are. I just kind of unfold that because what I want to do is I want to expose as much yarn to, you know, the dye or, you know, to the water or to whatever. I want to just have as much surface area as possible. So I find that just by straightening it all out, just taking that minute to straighten it all out, and I know this is a difficult thing if you're dyeing a lot, you know, it can be quite time consuming, but you know, we're just, at the moment, we're just home dyers in our kitchens and we're just dyeing up a few skeins, so we can afford that time to really just take a bit more attention to the skein of yarn. So I've got that all nice and even now, and then I just take a cable tie. These are reusable ones, I've had these for a few years now, and I'm just going to put that underneath the skein and then zip it, and that's all ready for dyeing. So I've got a DK weight, which is a 75-25. I've got my fingering weight skein, and then I've got my little dyer's treat of the 20 gram mini. So today we're going to have sort of 3 things here. So that's all ready for soaking in 1 second. So what else are we going to need? We've got our yarn. we are going to need, well, I use just some old tea towels that I keep just for dyeing, just to protect my work surface. You can also get, like, this is oilcloth here on the table. I find this really useful. I sometimes buy a big piece of it. I cut the piece that's for the table here, and then I'll have offcuts left, and I keep those because they're great for protecting your work surfaces. But today I'm just using a couple of tea towels. We've got our pot that we're going to dye in, which is a stainless steel pot. All of the things that you're going to use with regards to dyeing, once you've used them for dyeing, you should only then ever use them for dyeing. Don't use them for anything else. So these are pots that are specifically used for dyeing, and it's stainless steel. Nice large, it's just like a casserole pot. I like the ones with two handles because they're great for sort of moving around. I've got just a plastic washing up bowl for rinsing and for soaking yarn. We've got citric acid, which is our mordant. I don't like using vinegar because it smells. Basically, that's the only reason I don't like using it. And it's easier to store, citric acid as well. You know, liquids are quite difficult to store, and there's always that risk that they might tip over. So citric acid is what I use. It's food safe. There's no danger at all in using it. You can get it from Amazon. And then we've got a mask. Always use your mask when you're dyeing your yarn. I've got my big spoon, which couldn't dye without my big spoon, some rubber gloves, and then the dyes. Now, for today's colourway, we're going to need 6 colours of dye. And to measure it out, I've got a teaspoon that's a 1/8 of a teaspoon. So whenever I reference, say, you know, I'm using a teaspoon of this or half a teaspoon of this, the teaspoon is 1/8 of a teaspoon. These are like scientific measures, I think, and I got them in a bundle just from Amazon again. But this is the size that I use really all the time, and it's 1/8 of a teaspoon. So the dyes. Like I said, there's 6 colours, and I'm using all jacquard dyes today. So I will run through the colours that I'm going to use. So if you want to just note these down, you can do. And then as I use them, I'll also say what colour it is that I'm using. So again, if you want to actually follow along with me to see if you can get, you know, the same colour as me, I think that's a bit fun, isn't it? So the first one is silver grey. I use this so much, the silver grey colour, it's brilliant. So silver grey. Gold ochre, this is another one that I use an awful lot. I would say those 2 colours, the silver and the gold, are colours that I use very, very frequently. So gold ochre. We've then got russet. I'm not sure I've actually used this colour before when I've been dyeing. It's a great one. It's like it's a red, but it's like a brownish red. So russet. And then we've got brilliant blue, royal blue, and the last colour is teal, which is a gorgeous greeny blue. So that's all 6 colours that you're going to be needing. That's all of your equipment. So we're now ready to pre-soak, to pre-soak our yarn. Okay, so in my bowl here, I've filled it about half full, just with some nice warm water from the tap. It should really be warm water if you can. You know, it goes into the water much easier when it's warm, and I feel everything's absorbed much better. So into the water, I'm going to add some citric acid. I've got a teaspoon, no I haven't. I've got a tablespoon measure that I just always keep in the pot. And I'm going to put in, you know, I don't know what the scientific sort of calculation is of how much citric acid you're supposed to use, but I always err on the side of a little bit more is better than a little bit less. So into here, for sort of 2 skeins plus a mini, I'm going to put a big scoop, so a big tablespoon, and then a little bit more, just for good measure. I always put in a little bit more for good measure. And then I'm just going to whisk that around just to dissolve it. And you can tell when it's dissolved because you'll just stop feeling that sort of grittiness at the bottom. And again, because the water's warm, it just dissolves really easily. That's already gone into the water. I can feel all those gritty particles have gone. And now we can just pop our yarn in. So we just grab them by the little cable ties, drop them in, and then just give them a little encourage to go down into the water, because they will want to float, because that's one of the properties of wool, you know, it does wick water away, but these are superwash, so they do tend to go in easier. So just push them down, and then I always just kind of lift them up a little bit and then pop them in, just to make sure we get good coverage of water. And now we just need to leave these to soak for at least half an hour. So while that's soaking, we can get our pot ready over on the stove. Okay, so the first thing to do is to get your pot of water just sort of heating up. You can see the steam coming up here, so it is hotting up nicely. We don't need it to a rolling boil or anything like that, we just want it hot. I've got about 3/4 of this full of water, and I'm going to add some more citric acid. So again, I'm going to put in like a big tablespoon and then a bit more for good measure. And then get your big spoon and give this a little whirl around just to dissolve everything. And then we're going to put in our first colour. Now this particular technique is a layering technique, so we are putting the dye into the water first, and then the yarn goes into the dye, the water that's dyed, if you like. And it produces a really beautiful, subtle effect. You won't get, you know, this is not speckling or anything like that. It will produce, it's a variegated, but it's a very softly variegated. It's like a sort of watercolour-y look, I always think. So you can see the water's gone clear again, so that citric acid is now dissolved. So we are good to go. So I'm going to pop my mask on and we can get that first colour in. Okay, so the first layer of colour that's going into the dye pot, we're going to take our silver grey, and we want a full 1/8 of a teaspoon of silver grey. So we've got an 1/8 there, that goes in, lid back on. And then as I've sort of used a colour, I put it out of the way so I know that I've done that one. And I'm also checking to my notes as well. And then the next colour that's also going to go in at this stage is royal blue, and we want about 1/2 of an 1/8 of the teaspoon of this colour. So about 1/2, and that goes in, and then I just give the spoon a little rinse in the water. Lid back on. Just give my spoon a wipe so I know it's dry for the next colour. And I've got them all lined up in the order that I'm going to put them in, so I always kind of put the spoon next to the one that's going in next. So give this a stir, and you can see it looks really dark at this stage, but don't worry, I mean that grey does almost look black-like, but if you just lift the spoon up, you can see, did you see there, it's a gorgeous blue colour. So give it a good stir, make sure that those dyes are fully dissolved, we don't want any clumps of dye. And your water temperature, it wants to be hot, and I tend to sort of bring it to simmering point and then just turn it down to its lowest setting, just to keep it just below simmering the whole time. I don't like to boil my yarn at all. I don't find it's necessary, and I really don't want to damage those fibres any more than, you know, I need to in the hot water. So that should be nice and stirred in. So now we're going to pop the yarn in. I'm just going to turn up my burner. I just want to make sure that it is a good temperature. So I'm going to get it out of the water, and as I take it out, I'm just going to squidge out the water. Make sure your sort of skeins are separate like that, and then squidge the water out. So we've got our three, in my case, 2 full skeins and 1 mini here, and I give them a little shake before they go in, just to separate out those strands and so there's no clumping going on. So we're going to pop it in, and if I just do that, look, you can see the colour that we're sort of going to get. So pop it in, and as I do, I'm just going to take my time doing it, because I do want, like I said, I want more saturation in some areas than others. So just use your spoon to push it all down. It will absorb the colour really quickly. You'll be surprised at how quick that goes into the yarn. And at this stage now, what I do is I kind of lift it up, and I rearrange the skein, because if you look, can you see we have got some areas that are still pale, which is good. You know, we do want that, but I also want a bit of variation going on. So I'm constantly, through the whole process, I'm constantly moving my skeins around. And can you see how much dye we've already exhausted? And just drop those back in, and now I'll just leave them as they are for just a few minutes until that dye is completely absorbed. And you know, if you lift the skeins up, the water will be pretty much clear, and that won't take very long at all. So you can see just after a few minutes, if I lift the skeins up, you can see now the water is essentially clear, and we've got lots of different tones going on. We've got darker here, lighter here, which is just what we want. Now, before we do the next layer, I'm just going to move the skeins just slightly on their little cable ties. When you do this, just make sure that you catch all of the strands. And I'm just going to move it a little bit, and now I'm just going to squidge them. It'll be hot, but you'll be fine with some gloves on. And then take them out and just move them over to my bowl. There we go. And now we can put in the next colour. So teal goes in next, and I want about 1/2 of the teaspoon of this one. There you go. Pop that straight in. Gosh, it's such a fantastic colour, this. Can you see the colour going in? It's a gorgeous colour. Again, just give this a wish around. Oh, it's beautiful. So again, if I do that, oh, it's such a fantastic colour, teal, I think. It's like that sort of kingfishery look. That water is quite hot now, so I'm just going to turn it down to the lowest setting, and now we can pop the yarn back in. So I'm going to grab it, and as I sort of pick it up from the bowl, I'm just going to loosen all of the strands again, and it goes back in, straight down, and pushed in. Now at this stage, I'm just going to leave it like that for a few minutes, and then I will just move the skeins again as I've been doing. So now you see probably about half of the dye there is absorbed, and you can already see we're getting 2 different colours coming through. So again, I'm just going to move my skeins a little bit, lift them up, a little rearrange, and then pop them back down. And again, just leave these now for a couple of minutes just to fully absorb that teal. It's already looking like such a gorgeous colour. It's difficult to know when to stop with this layering technique. You know, you just keep thinking, I'll add more, I'll add more, I'll add more, but you've got to be careful with it, because if you add too many colours, everything just turns brown. You just end up with brown yarn. Okay, so if we lift that back up now, you can see our water is clear again, and we've got lots of lovely shades of blue now happening, with a sort of greeny blue look from the teal. But still, you can still see we've got pale sections, which is exactly what we want. So again, before I take this out, I'm just going to move them, and then same process, just squidge that water down, move it back over to our bowl. So the next colour going in is brilliant blue, and we need just about 1/4 of this. It's quite a strong blue, this one. It is a different sort of blue though, I hope you can see that. It's more of an inky blue. And then just stir that around. You can see the saturation of this one, there's not as much of this colour at all. Now we can pop the yarn back in again, grab it and give it a little shake around, and back in. And this time I'm just going to leave it as it is, like that. So yeah, clear water, little shuffle of the skeins, squidge out and move over. I think one of those skeins just got tangled. Can you see how, see that can happen sometimes. I'm just gonna, there we go, dislodge that, that's it. So back in, and now we're gonna add russet. So about half of an eighth. Can you see it's like it's a red, but there's a lot of brown in it, I think. It's very autumnally sort of colour. I'm going to give that a stir, and I might just add a touch more, I think. Because I can see how that colour looks, and I think I just want a touch more. Because I've got that extra mini skein in there, I just feel like I need a touch more of that. And, you know, go with it. If you feel like you need a particular colour to be a bit stronger, then just add a bit more. It looks a little gorgeous in the dye pot, that colour. A little bit of a shake, and in it goes. Now with this one, I'm just leaving it as it is because I don't want to obliterate all of the blue. So I'm just going to leave it like that and let it fully absorb that russet. Right, I left this for about 5 minutes, and I am now going to sort of move it around a little bit. They've still got a bit of, you can see it's just a sort of slight pinky shade. Over here it's a little bit stronger. So I've just turned the heat up a tiny bit. But let's lift it up and see what we're looking like. You can see we've still got quite a lot of red in there, but the skein does have an overall blue look still about it, but it's more purpley hued down here, and we've still got some blues up here, which is beautiful. So I am just going to move it a little bit, and as soon as I move the skein and drop it back in, you'll find that that dye just absorbs really quick because we've moved it and exposed more of the yarn that hasn't had any of that dye. But I hope you can see just all of the shades that are appearing now. I never know how this is going to come across on camera because colours are so funny, aren't they? But hopefully you can see that. And straight away, if you just move it to one side, you can see now we're almost clear. So now we're ready for the final colour, and this is what's just going to change it completely. For the better, hopefully. If I put it into the bowl, if you can see it now, it is lovely, isn't it? So the final colour is the magical gold ochre. And we're using about a half of an eighth again. There we go. Pop that in. And then give that a nice stir. Give it a couple of minutes, you know, if you think you can still see little specks of dye floating around, just stir for another minute and they should then disappear. So before I pop the yarn in, I'll just do a final little shuffle around. A nice shake, and in it goes. Can you see straight away, look what's happening? Oh, it's like magic. Those blues, and I'm just going to leave it like that. I've popped it in, I'm going to leave it. Because we want some sections to stay as they were, and we want other sections to get that gold. Look at the colour here. Oh, it's just gorgeous. And the purples as well, the gold seems to do something to the purples. It's just beautiful. Now the gold I find absorbs really quickly, so I'm just going to give it a minute and then I am going to move it around. You can see what, you know, fairly well on. Oh, it's just this is such a gorgeous colour. So I've moved it, I'm going to drop them back in and then I will leave it. Gorgeous. So I can take my mask off now, everyone. Whew. That's the final colour in. So what I'm going to do is I'm cranking the heat up, and I just want to bring that to the simmer point so I know that now everything is in. Now all of the dyes are in. We're going to bring it up to the temperature it needs to be to fully set the dyes. So it's now just coming up to simmering point. I can hear it just start, you know, I can hear the bubbles at the bottom. So I know that that's going to be the right temperature. So I'm going to take it off the heat, and we can now pop it outside to cool down. If you can't put it outside, just leave it in your kitchen to cool. It'll just take a bit longer. So there we go, our yarn is now outside and it's cooling, and for once it's not raining, so I can put it outside, which is a bonus. So Come back in part 2. We're going to get that yarn in, we're going to rinse it, we're going to set it to dry, and then I can just show you the finished skein. So I will see you back soon.
Well, do you know what? I said before we started watching that first part of the show, it's like alchemy, and I stand by it. Seeing those colours layer up and the changes, it's just unbelievable.
The magic of gold ochre.
I know.
Just in case you didn't know.
I mean,
it's a magical colour.
It's just a wonderful thing to see and to understand because, you know, well, no.
I'm going to show it. I'll show it at the end. Yeah.
We just need to hold off. A little bit more until part 2, and then we'll get to see it all finished. Because it is just the most gorgeous colour.
It is. I would love a jumper in that colour. Actually,
wow.
It would be fantastic. I think.
Gosh, I wonder what sort of pattern would suit cables. Oh, I don't know.
Well, I think to be fair, it would show up cables.
Yeah.
I think it would.
Yeah. It's just the most exciting thing to be kicking off this series with such a lovely colour, and I can't wait to see some of the others that you're going to do through the year. And
if there are any colourways that you might have used or that you just remember, just comment below if there's anything in particular that you would like to see.
And yes, we can't do figgy pudding because somehow...
Oh, I'm not doing figgy pudding. It's like...
It would be very difficult for me to edit that down into anything close to what would be...
Well, it's just such a laborious process, and I've only ever done that one colourway using that technique because it just takes forever.
So my favourite colourways, the first full season is underway. Oh yes, and if you enjoyed that, and if you enjoyed anything that we do, I hope you do enjoy something that we do.
I hope you do.
Then we need you.
Look, we've given you the gift of Valenvent.
Yes.
What more could you possibly want?
Folks, we absolutely need you because it's fair to say that our Bakery Bear patrons are our executive producers, and without them, there simply would be no show. We would not be here. So if you enjoy what we do and you want to keep us on air, making bigger and better shows, we would be so grateful if you would sign up to be a Bakery Bear patron. You can find out all about what it is to be a Bakery Bear patron and all the wonderful exclusive things that you can access by signing up to be a Bakery Bear patron if you follow the link just below me now, and also that link is also in the show notes below. But now it's time for Kay to ask
Dan Jones.
Yes.
What's off your needles?
Wow. It does feel like...
It's a New Year miracle.
It's a special occasion when Kay asks me that first. Because you know what that means? It means she's either got nothing, which I don't think has ever happened, or it means I've got more than you.
You have more than me?
Which is a rare occurrence. And I shall start...
There you go.
...with these gorgeous socks. I love knitting these socks. And you were like, oh, I don't know if they're going to be engaging enough for you.
Interesting enough, yeah.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
They're perfect in every way. These are the Mary Poppins. Is she perfect in every way?
Practically perfect in every way.
In that case, they're not Mary Poppins because these are perfect in every way. The repeat was just enough. And, with the maypole down the back.
My experience of what knitters like in a sock design is that people like things that are, nice and relaxed and straightforward to knit, but that you get a really good result from, and that you can use lots of different yarn types with it, and it will work well.
I love knitting with this colourway.
It's really nice,
and I didn't think I would.
It's Osterman Steppe. It's lovely yarn, Osterman Steppe.
Because it's so dark, you sort of think, is that going to be... Am I going to enjoy knitting with that? Well,
it's
actually
really
seeing the colours change,
and it's really nice.
Like a night sky.
And it doesn't pull at all.
No.
Which is great.
It's a beautiful dye job.
Lovely.
And the only thing I wish... They are practically perfect in every way, because I didn't do the contrast.
No, I like them with just the toes.
Well,
I really like it.
In that case, I'll show it.
And that was a Regia, my first Regia. The little 25-gram balls, which are brilliant for heels and toes, because you know, sometimes with 20 grams, if you're knitting a bigger size sock, like a 72 stitch sock, it can be a bit of a push to get cuffs, heels and toes from a 20 gram mini. But with that, because you've got 25 grams, you'll be absolutely cool.
I love the feel of this. The
yarn.
Yes.
It's like it's soft, but it
feels
got something about it. Yeah.
It feels like it's going to last.
Yeah, I agree.
It feels like you could wear these in most shoes, and you know they're going to feel comfortable and lovely and nice. So these are the Village Fate socks, and I loved every second of knitting them. So thank you so much. And now it's time.
I should charge you for all the patterns that you've used in mine, shouldn't I?
Well, exactly. You shouldn't give them to me free.
Send you a little bill.
Kate Jones, what's off your needles?
Right. So I will start with something that I've almost shown you the completed thing of, but it's all done now. And it's my Christmas tide cowl, which was my Advent design.
Yes.
So here is the finished cowl. I used the gorgeous minis from Elderflower Stitches, and lovely Susie is having a baby, everyone.
Oh.
If you didn't know, she announced it.
Susie of Elderflower Stitches.
Oh, Susie.
Huge congratulations.
I was so pleased. New house, new baby. That's what they say, Susie. I knew when you got that new house, a baby would follow. Just thrilled for you. So here we go. All of the gorgeous minis from Susie. And it's the Christmas tide cowl. I'll pop it on.
Yeah.
A couple of people.
What do you mean, a couple of people?
You know, it never occurred to me, right?
Like
when I
the whole world. Post a picture with you wearing it.
Everyone wanted me to post a picture of me wearing it.
You couldn't, because this was all when it was still ongoing.
Yeah, it was a mystery one, and you know, people were saying, "Oh, just scrunch it up, and we won't be able to see the designs." But I just didn't want to do that.
No.
You know, I wanted to keep it a secret, and it never occurred to me that people would want to see it on. You know, I just thought, well, it's just a cowl. You know, there's no.
And lots of people now have posted the most gorgeous pictures with it on.
Yeah, I've posted pictures of it on, and it's just a lovely thing.
It really is.
I just flicked my hair. Oh, I had my hair cut, everyone. I managed to get into a hairdresser's in between Christmas and New Year and had it cut. And I've been doing this for a week because she cut my fringe really short.
Looks fine.
It's grown a little bit now. I was like, doing this, I look like a 5-year-old. I was like, oh, she's cut it too short. But I got all my dead ends off at the bottom. I had 2 inches off, which is lovely. So there we go.
Gorgeous.
It's perfect.
It is just
and I'm thrilled because I can wear it now, you know, and it'll be lovely. I just need to arrange that bottom bit because you can't see the blue. I've crunched it down a bit. There we go.
It's just
one person.
Yeah.
And it was lovely. She knit a hat at the same time. So she just cast on fewer stitches and shortened the patterns and knit a hat to match. It looked fantastic. And some people, because they lived in hotter climates, a few people made 2 cowls.
Right.
So they used half of the stitch patterns, and then I did another one with the other half of the stitch pattern so that it was shorter. Brilliant. So loads of adaptations, which I just think is great. You know, it's your design at the end of the day. When you've got it, you can do whatever you like with it, to make it work for you. Yeah. But I just love it. It's perfect.
And this is the first platinum pattern of 2021.
Yeah.
So whilst this was available to everyone who is a Bakery Bear patron up until the 31st of December 2020, it now is part of the platinum collection.
Yeah.
And you get 4 patterns through the course of the year. You'll be publishing another one in the spring, another one in the summer, another one in the autumn, and that collection is available to gold and platinum Bakery Bear patrons.
Yeah.
But of course, everyone actually who signs up to be a Bakery Bear patron gets access to your very first ever platinum pattern, which was the All Is Calm socks.
Oh gosh, right. Yeah. It's amazing. I love doing the designs for the platinum.
Completely exclusive,
collection.
These patterns.
Yeah.
They'll never ever be available to purchase.
Yeah, I really love creating them, and it's real fun. People have asked me what my favourite stitch pattern out of all of it is. I'm not sure, but I've got
a favourite.
I do really love this one here. It was designed to look like little angel wings because the book inspiration for this day was
It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, It's a Wonderful Life. What was the book called? I didn't know, but it was based on a short story, It's a Wonderful Life. And that was the short story I used for that day because it looks like little angel wings.
Yeah.
for Clarence the Angel. A lot of people liked this one here with the cable.
Yeah, it's nice.
Just a soft cable. It is lovely, that one, isn't it?
Can I tell you my favourite?
What's your favourite?
My favourite is because you may not realise this, but Kay actually signed this design.
I signed it. Oh, it does look like... I never noticed that. It's upside down now, but
sorry.
That's why it looks like that.
Yeah.
But that one was based on the Philosopher's Stone. That is the invisibility cloak being whooshed around Harry when he first got it.
It's not, it's a K.
It does look like a K. This one is big fat snowflakes, and that one was Winnie the Pooh.
Look at that.
Yeah, that one was
stunning.
Christmas Carol. There's
Just
two in there for
gorgeous.
Christmas Carol, just because it's so lovely. And of course, we had to have some Christmas trees, which was the first one, and that was on the banks of Plum Creek.
Would you believe it, ladies and gentlemen?
Lovely.
I've only got something else to show you.
Yeah.
Look, I finished.
That's the back. That's the front.
Yes, I finished the Scandinavian Christmas Cowl.
Look at that.
And I don't think it should be. It's not Christmassy.
No, it's not Christmassy. I don't think it's
I'm going to
Christmassy
call
at
it the
all.
Scandinavian Cowl.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything Christmassy about it particularly. Do you?
I mean, I loved it.
It's gorgeous.
It's just lovely and
blocked fantastically well.
absolutely did. And
It's the Tarndy yarn, Polworth.
I mean, look.
Look at the floats, everybody. Look at that.
That's good, isn't it?
It's very good. I think it's very good, don't you think? I'm not an expert on floats, but I think it looks really cool.
There's no. I mean, it just. Oh, I'm so happy with this. I really do
I
feel.
haven't tried this on yet because I wanted to.
I really do feel like this.
Keep it nice.
This project is when it really started to come together for me. That
It's so soft.
there's not.
It's lovely.
I don't think I could have knit it any better than I did, which I'm so thrilled
I
about.
don't think anybody could have knit it any better than you
stop
did,
it.
to be honest. Oh, well, I'm serious.
Well, you're very
I think
kind.
it's great.
I mean, we've always got new stuff to
perfect.
learn, but it's just so nice.
It looks like I bought it in a shop. Don't you think? They'd be like, oh, where did you get your cowl?
My husband knit it for me.
My husband knit it.
That's so funny.
I think it's fantastic and I love it.
It was a tremendous project. The yarn was outstanding. I loved every bit of the
Wear that
yarn.
a lot. I love cowls.
I know. Well, that's lucky because
I absolutely love cowls.
they've become my new go-to.
I like shawls, but you've got to faff with them a bit,
Yeah.
haven't you?
Yeah.
Cowls, you put them on, they're there. Most days you'll find me with a cowl on, even if I'm just in the house all day. Which is all the time right now. So yeah, I'll always have a cowl on, and that's perfect. Thank you. Is this mine?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Do you know what, actually? Our lovely daughter Bryony looked at that and she was like, oh, that's lovely.
You can see the jog down there. can't
Yes,
you?
okay.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. You get a jog.
That's my next
Let's
mission.
turn it round.
I think Bryony quite liked it, so maybe I should
did
knit her
she?
something. No, but I'm sure if she wants a cowl, I want to knit it for her, with her in mind.
These are not really her colours.
No.
She would probably she likes purples and blues.
Yeah.
Navy blue she would love.
Yeah.
Any colour associated with Tae Young that he's worn at some point,
Yeah.
she would love. She'd like that.
Folks,
You should use that
look.
to do a colour.
It's all right pointing at that. People want to see that. So I think it's time that we return.
No.
Oh,
I've published my Dynamite mitts. I published them on the 1st of January, so this pattern is now out. You can purchase it on Ravelry and Lovecrafts. It's just £4 because it's one size, but it's really easy to adapt because you can just use thicker yarn. You can adjust your needle size, so it's easy to adapt it to different sizes. But because there's only one size in the pattern, it's a low price. But saying that, there's a video tutorial in there for how I work the thumb gusset increases. So this is the pair that was on the pattern. These have been worn by Bryony for about a month at school. So, they have got some wear on them now. I think it's nice to see a bit of wear, don't you?
yeah.
And it's really not bad.
No.
So this was the pair on the pattern, and this was the original pair that I knit with colours to match the Dynamite video. So there's details in the pattern as well on how I did the striped pair.
I think it's time that we got back and found out what this wonderful water sprite is going to look like when it's all dried and finished and made up into a lovely hank. Skein.
Oh. Well, it is technically a hank.
I got it right!
It is a hank.
Let's get back for part 2 of my favourite colourways.
Welcome back everyone. It's part 2 of my favourite colourways. Our yarn is now lovely and cool and we are ready to start the next stage. So let's pop in the garden, bring the yarn in and let's get rinsing. Okay, so our yarn has now cooled down enough. I mean, it's not totally cold in there, it's still a little bit warm, but all of the dye is completely absorbed, so we're absolutely fine now to rinse. So I'm going to use some Eucalan today to rinse my yarn. So I'm just going to pop in some warm water and a little blob of the Eucalan. Just have the water, I try and keep it the same temperature that it's coming out of, and in that way we're not going to risk shocking the yarn at all. Although it is superwash, that shouldn't happen. Still, I just like to, to keep everything, if I can, at an even temperature. There we go, lovely and sudsy. So just going to squeeze off there the yarn. You can see we've just literally got no dye at all in there, so that's brilliant. Nothing is going to be going into the drains that shouldn't. So we've got our yarn here now, and I tend to just pop it in and give it a little squidge around and then just let it hang out. I mean, you can leave it in there for sort of 10 minutes if you want. Go away, make yourself a cup of tea, come back. But you really just want to make sure that we're rinsing all of that citric acid and any tiny little dye particles that might still be hanging around, just rinsing those off the yarn. And you can see the water is lovely and clear, so we've not got any dye running off, which again is a lovely indication that everything is fully absorbed. So we know that when whoever comes to knit with this, when they come to wash their item, they shouldn't have any problems. I do like using I don't always use actually Eucalan or soak. I sometimes just use a tiny bit of fabric conditioner, but I do find that if you use fabric conditioner, it does tend to draw the dye out, I find, a little bit. But if I've got some Eucalan or soak in the house, then I will use that, because it is lovely and you don't need to rinse it as well, which is a bonus, I think. So that's just had 5 minutes or so hanging out there just to soak and get rid of all of the residues that might be in there. What I'm going to do now, normally on a kind of warm day, I would just put this outside. I would hang it on the washing line and leave it to dry outside. We don't have a warm day today, it's actually freezing outside. So what I'm going to do is I will take it outside, I will put it over the washing line just to sort of squidge it all out and get most of the moisture out of there, and then I'm going to hang it on the area in the house, and I'll put a fan on it just to dry it. Okay, so our lovely yarn is all dry now. It just had a couple of hours in front of the fan and is perfect. So all that's left to do is to skein it up. I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. It does, thankfully, it looks like the colour that I remember, because it's a long time since I've dyed this colour, so you never know really how it's going to come out, but it does look like the colour that I remember. It's super pretty. It does remind me a bit of a Monet painting. Do you know that kind of watery effect? It's really, really pretty. There's lots of blues in there, gorgeous greens. The russet that we put in has given lots of purples, but there are also sort of hints of a pinky colour coming through as well. It's really gorgeous. So I've got here, I've already done my little chef's treat. So look, this is mine, a little mini skein, which is, ooh, very exciting. I think I'm going to crochet this into my, do you know the moss stitch, linen stitch, triangular shawl blanket thing that I'm doing. I think I'm going to put it into there, so that'll be really lovely. So I've got the DK weight and the fingering weight here. I'll do the DK weight first. What I do is take off the the little cable tie, and then just give the skein a little sort of, I think it's not a thwack, because I think you do that when you are spinning. Do you know when you've spun yarn? Am I right? I don't know, but I've seen people kind of do this. But I think that's generally, is it wet when they do that? I don't know. But anyway, just evens up the skein. And this particular one has got lots of ties on it. 1, 2, 3, it's got 4 ties. Now we don't need that many ties, I don't think anyway, once we've dyed it and we're going to skein it up. For me, 2 ties is enough just to stop it from tangling. So we've got the main one here, which has got all of the ends, and this has 4 strands of yarn coming off it. So you know that this is the one you've got to keep, because that's what's keeping the 2 ends tied together. So what I then do is I look at what else we've got. We've got 2 here and 1 here. So I'm going to keep the one that's nearest to the bottom. I'm going to remove the other 2. So be careful when you're doing this. You do not want to snip your yarn. So I'm just going to cut those 2 ties and then pull those off. There we go. And now we can just skein it. So again, I'll just give it a nice pull just to even out all of those strands, because it does look so much neater in a skein if you've like made sure that all of your strands are nice and you know, aligned and nice and even. So I'm just going to skein it up. That's a lovely DK weight. Oh, it does look gorgeous in the skein. And then we just need to do the same with the fingering weight one. So on this skein, I've got 3 ties. So I'm just going to snip one of those off. And then it's just the same process as before. Just make sure it's all lovely and straight. And there we go. Oh, lovely. So nice to see it all skeined. Gorgeous. Oh, look at me staring at it, did you see? So there we go. It's all finished. The really beautiful water sprite. So there we have it. Beautiful water sprite. I hope you all enjoyed that, and I hope some of you dyed along with me. So I will see you again next time for more My Favourite Colourways.
Wow! Here it is in the flesh.
Did you like it?
What a wonderful process to go through with you. I mean, it's just gorgeous, and it's so interesting seeing the difference between the 2.
Yeah, because different bases dye differently, and these were in, as you saw, these were in the pot together, and yet I think the DK weight one is a bit more saturated than the fingering weight one.
I prefer the fingering weight.
Do you?
Yeah.
You know, when I've dyed this before, it has sometimes come out a little bit more subdued and sometimes a bit more saturated, because at the end of the day, every time you dye yarn, unless you weigh the amount of dye and you measure the amount of water that's going into your pot, which I think, to be fair, very few of us can be bothered doing, then there are going to be tiny fluctuations. But I think that's also the beauty of it, that it'll come out slightly different. But yeah, I love how they're just slightly different. The colours are just gorgeous. You know, adding that gold is miraculous. And I do that on quite a few of my colourways, you know, just that last layer, putting in that gold ochre, and it just transforms everything. If you, for example, you could do this with lots of shades of pink, and maybe put in a purple as well, and then put gold ochre on top, and a lot of the pinks would turn to peach, and also the purple would become a bit more kind of dusky as well. It would be gorgeous. So lots of things you can do, but isn't it lovely? Yeah. And look at my little Chef's Treat mini. I've already wound it up. So I think you should have that DK weight.
Thank you.
So you could make Bryony a cowl with it. Yeah, and I'll just give you a undyed skein.
I'll have another 15 of these and I'll make a jumper.
I know, yeah.
gorgeous. No,
I'll give you an undyed skein, and then you can have cream with it, and that'll look beautiful, I think, as the contrast.
Sounds great. And that is just the start of this wonderful journey that's going to take us through an awful lot of 2021. The first of 8 gorgeous colourways. And some of these colourways will most certainly be appearing as prizes in different things that we do. So look out for that through the course of the year. Not only do we get to see the process of making them up, but also one of you lucky people out there might get to win some of them, which is super exciting.
Indeed, you will.
So, of course, with that being the end of the first episode of My Favourite Colourways, that means we now get to look forward to the return next episode of Walking the...
whatever it will be.
And I have some very interesting thoughts going around in my head.
You bought some boots.
I did. It's going to be the first time
and some swishy trousers.
Yes. It's going to be the first time.
I think they'll come today.
I hope so.
How exciting. You know how much I love a trouser that swishes.
Hopefully it doesn't swish too much. But we're going to be walking through some seriously challenging conditions through this winter. So it's going to be so interesting. First of all, seeing the conditions that we're going to encounter and how we get through them, but also seeing how the landscape changes
I think
as we hit spring and summer.
Because usually we do the walking things through good weather, don't we?
Yeah.
Because
historically, that's what we've done, and of course, last year that's when we started filming.
Yeah. But I think to see a landscape, as Dan said, in a different season in winter, I think is just going to be. I think the light. I think winter light can be lovely. I think it's just going to be great.
Yes, absolutely. So that's to look forward to when we see you next time. Now it's time though for the Endy Bits.
Endy Bits.
Now, the Amazonian Warrior Challenge is of course underway. You know all about it already.
Yes.
So if you are a Bakery Bear patron and you want to take part with your knitting and your crochet, then go and take a look at the thread which is linked in the show notes below, and you'll know what to do. But if you are a runner or a walker, all you need to do is, as I told you at the start of the show, is just drop me an email to the email address listed in the show notes below and let me know all the things that I need to know to get you into a group, and we'll get you in and get you taking part as quick as possible.
Yes.
Now,
we've also got another knit along still ongoing. It's the winter socks knit along that carries on until the end of January, and we've got lots of finished socks in there already. So if you've got socks on the go, that you cast on Christmas Eve, anything like that, and you think you can get them finished before the end of January, pop them in that FO thread on Ravelry, and then you could win a prize. I've shown the prizes before. There's some hand-dyed yarn from me, there was like a bunch of commercial sock yarn, there's a bag, so lots of lovely prizes. So that's ongoing until the end of January. So the other couple of things I wanted to show you are completely non-knitting and completely random. But we know you love the randomness. So at Christmas, we didn't have turkey this year because, to be fair, I don't really like turkey.
We're never having turkey again.
Never having turkey again. That's it. I'm done. I've never really liked it. We've just always had it because that's what you did. Well, we decided this year last year that's not what we were going to do, and we had a cockerel, which is a chicken basically. A great big chicken, and we got it from Booth's supermarket. We pre-ordered it in their sort of Christmas thingy, and we went and collected it a few days before Christmas, and it was fantastic. It was just a great big chicken, but what it allowed us to do is have leftovers. There's tons of leftovers.
Yeah, because one of the most important things at Christmas, for me, and I think you would agree as well, is you put all that effort in on Christmas Day. You want to have a load of food left over that could feed you for another 2, 3, even 4 days. So just getting a normal turkey from the getting a normal chicken from the supermarket was not going to cut the mustard. So we found this.
We did, and it was just perfect. It was perfect, and I think we'll do this every year now.
Yeah.
It was great, and I wanted to show you, although we ordered it from Booths, it was from this particular farm, and I just wanted to let you know where it was from.
We'll link it in the show notes.
It came with full instructions on how to cook it. It had one of those little pop-up thermometers, which I didn't use because I've got a meat thermometer myself, and I just used that. But, full cooking instructions.
And a little note from Rod.
Congratulations on your purchase of the very finest Adlington poultry. It's been a family business since 1956.
His wife's called Jane and his son's called Freddie.
No, I was thinking then it's not. Rod, Jane and Freddie, if you get that reference anyway.
That's from Rainbow, which was a children's TV show when we were growing up.
But it was brilliant. So if you're near a Booth's supermarket...
Do you mean hilarious? If you're near a Boots supermarket,
they're
give
sort
it a
of
go.
dotted around Cumbria and
Mainly in the north
yeah, in the north.
of England. Yeah.
Absolutely get yourself one of these ordered at Christmas.
Let's have a look at your...
The other thing, I wanted to show you a little present I got at Christmas, and Bryony got one as well. It is if you're not into nail polish, you won't be interested. But this is the most sparkly polish I have ever used before, and it's fantastic. It's by a Swiss company called Mavala. I don't know if anybody knows this. It's Mavala. And this one is pure diamond. Oh my goodness. And then we also, Bryony got gold diamond. Little tiny pots. Honestly, this one, the pure diamond, I use it as like a top coat. And over Christmas, I put on like a navy blue, more like a brilliant blue nail polish, and put this on top. It was like the sparkliest night sky in the world. It was fantastic. So I just wanted to let you know, because I know a lot of you out there like nail polishers, so I would definitely recommend this one.
So folks, that's it. It's a new year and we're back, baby.
Yes.
What's there to look forward to? A whole host of things. Kay's design diary is back. She's just published a new episode and it was all about the inspirations for her winter collection that just came out a few days ago. We've just published the final part in our Holtzgarn review series, and we've got new reviews and tutorials coming this month. The radio show is back next Friday.
Yeah.
And remember, Bakery Bear patrons, you get early access to it on Thursday. And I think that's enough for now.
Wow.
That's an awful lot of exciting things to look forward to.
Loads of stuff, isn't it?
And of course, in 2 weeks, we'll be back with the next episode of the video show featuring Walking the Wherevers. So thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, everybody.
Keep smiling, everybody.
Yes.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks for more.
See you soon.
Bye.
Enthusiasm's not quitting for Dan and Kay, the bakery bears. They'll take you to fabulous places of which their favorites they'll share. You better buy a pattern and get yourself a bakery bear. You'll find yourself in a castle while watching the bakery bears. It never feels like a hassle to sit and watch the bakery bears. What's on your shelf or what's